Welcome to Notice Tonight, the show that decodes the region. We have now been hearing about post-COVID complications among survivors of the deadly virus. But to survive in the true sense, we need to take a real hard look at our economy. More so, in an economically underdeveloped region like the Northeast, we need to devise measures for post-COVID economic regeneration as soon as possible. So what are the sectors that hold the key? Is tourism the panacea for the revival of the region's economy? If so, are domestic tourists going to be the key players? Well, viewers, there is a decent tourist flow into favorite destinations in Assam like the Kaziranga. Meghalaya is throwing the state open to tourists from December 21st. Well, there are reports of a direct Delhi-Shillong plane landing at Umroi on the 21st of December. Tourism aside, what are the other sectors that the Northeast can bank on? Is more synergy needed between the state governments and the business and trading community? To discuss the issue, I am joined from Shillong by Mr. Larsing Ming, a business leader who is into the sports and hospitality industry. From Imphal, I am joined by BJP leader and the leading hotelier, Mr. Nishikant Sapam. And in the studios with me in Guwahati, I have Mr. R.S. Joshi, former chairman of FINA, and Mr. Ishantar Sabhapandit, regional director of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, a leading trade and industry body. Gentlemen, welcome to Notice Tonight. Let me go to you first in Imphal, Mr. Nishikant Sapam. You see, you are also an entrepreneur, you are also a political leader, you are part of the BJP in Manipur. My question to you, are you happy with the efforts? Is there a policy in the Northeast to revive the economy post-COVID? Or in these critical times, what is the sense you are getting? A lot of people are saying that there is only a piecemeal approach, there is no concrete plan that the Northeast has.
Hi, good evening, Wasbir. I am not a political leader. I am just a simple member of the BJP. Yes, I am a businessman. And in Manipur, I don't think we have been that badly affected by the COVID if you compare it with other parts of the country. Anyway, and Manipur, we are like for example, if I talk about myself, I think I am just about managing to meet my expenses. And so I think the government is, doing what it should do. I think it's not doing bad. And only thing is that off late they have just put a night curfew. I don't see much wisdom in that because Manipur as such doesn't have any nightlife. My hotel had kind of picked up. It was doing pretty fine. And my hotel is more like a business hotel. So I think business is beginning to have some activities. So I have like almost 40-50% rooms filled up. The restaurant is doing fine, there is home delivery. I mean, people are actually quite tired of being locked up. So people are, willing to move on, move forward, But of course, this is a new normal. We got to be careful. As I say this, we all must be careful. Yeah. Wear masks and avoid social life, distancing, hand washing, etc., must be followed.
Mr. Larsing Ming.
So that's the way I see it.
Right. And Mr. Larsing Ming, Meghalaya is throwing open the state to tourists from the 21st of December. But the question is, what is the sense you are getting? I'm not asking you only to comment on Meghalaya. In general, what is the sense you are getting? Does the Northeast, to you, working to a plan, or do you think people are generally clueless on how to revive the economy?
Well, I think in due fairness, we've just been grappling with this pandemic, which has just come out of nowhere. But now that things are settling down, I think it's extremely important that we start looking at sectors that can at least provide livelihoods, because especially as far as the daily earners, which could be small shops, vegetable vendors, tourist, guides, and so on and so forth, a lot of people have been hit very badly by this pandemic. So yes, there has to be a kind of a concerted effort to regenerate the economy once we are away from the danger line of this pandemic, which I hope will happen in a couple of months. As you mentioned already, Meghalaya is opening up to tourism from the 21st of December. So I'm sure that in a way will bring in some sort of relief to a number of bed and breakfasts and operators and various people who are associated with the tourism industry, as well as the allied industries that survive on tourism. As you know, that tourism has a lot of indirect benefits.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that slowly by slowly there will be a gentle recovery of the economy, and more importantly, to provide livelihoods for the people who need it most, which are the ones who survive on a day-to-day basis.
Let me come to you, Mr. R.S. Joshi, the former chairman of FINA. My question to you, are we banking too much on the tourism sector? When we talk about reviving the economy in the Northeast, you talk about Meghalaya, where they are opening up the state to tourists from the 21st of December. Assam, is already open because Kaziranga is open. There are a lot of domestic tourists coming. But my question is, are we banking only on the tourism sector? What are some of the other sectors that we should turn to in order if we really want to revive the economy in the Northeast?
Let me start. Thank God we are returning to normalcy by and large, and I must appreciate everyone, be it government, be the public or industry or businessmen. So new normalcy is now the trend, and we are more or less with the ground realities now. Tourism is one thing where the feel-good sector is very much paramount. People should feel, yes, things are moving in that area. So let tourists come first, the investor will follow. To that extent, it's good. But see, it's not just opening up the Meghalaya or there are so many other things in place. Unfortunately, if you look at the happenings of last 1 year or so, virtually we have been in agitation mode on one account or another. And tourists were the person who suffered most. You would appreciate a lot of tourists were stuck up here and there, and it was really a nightmare for them. But anyway, apart from tourists, see, there are some other sectors. One of them, keeping in view the employment generation potential, is the real estate sector. Thanks to Government of India's policy like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and other things in place, so again, things have started moving in construction area, but I would be expecting some fiscal incentives from the state governments of the region. So then, see, we can give more and more employment, and things can come back on track. This is the one area. But let me share with you the latest trend in the state of Assam. Some industries are near normalcy, be it cement, be it steel, and some consumer goods also. So that way, and this I get it substantiated from the taxation department. Of late, this latest quarter that is ending on March, this 31st December, we should be doing pretty well. So things are, I see green shoots here and there, and a pretty good time we have come over. And one thing I should also share, you just imagine where the national scenario, the GDP, that growth contraction at roughly at 24%.
Yeah.
Unprecedented, and we have come out of that kind of scenario, and now the second quarter, the contraction is only 7.5%. This speaks volumes that we have come out of that grave situation.
So you think we have come out of the grave situation, but we have a lot of work to do. Now, let me turn to you, Mr. Ishantar Sabhapandit, the Regional Director of the Indian Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Sabhapandit, trade and industry bodies like you, now we have been asking this question whether the state governments in the Northeast have a plan or whether they are working without a plan. My question is, as a trade and industry body, have you worked out on this, how to revive the economy? What are your suggestions to the respective states in the Northeast?
Yeah, we certainly has got our plan in place where we have discussed with respective state government, particularly government of Assam and government of Meghalaya. Those plans basically is not limited to tourism, as you have rightly said. It's not limited to tourism. We have harped on skill development, which we felt that the resources which has come from rest of the part of India, which were there, they have come here. For them, I think it's important that we use their potential to the best of their capabilities, and they could share the best of practices. They could make people skill in their fields. And one is skill development, and one is employability and employment of those people whom the skills has been parted.
Yeah.
I think that is something which we have harped upon, and also we have consciously worked on the field of agriculture, because we have seen that agriculture is one potential sector where, being at home or being at the villages, the farmers, the people who are there, who are affected the most in this situation, they could really have their own livelihood. And as we all know, that entire world is suffering, and there can be ample of opportunities in terms of exports also.
Right.
Because Myanmar and Thailand is also hampered a lot and suffered a lot. So I think these sectors, and also simultaneously we need to concentrate. We are working on tourism, where if we see that the tourists which are there now in Assam, or I won't say rest of the states, particularly in Assam, they are basically the people from Assam only. Those people are not from other parts of India. So we should make a environment or a platform or a scenario or a ground system where people are maybe they come to visit our places without any backlogs.
So there has to be a more connect between the state governments and the mass media, perhaps, so that more and more people get to know the actual scenario on the ground. Because northeastern state governments have been pretty much successful in keeping COVID, or coming out of COVID, actually, if I may use the word. Let me go to once again to you in Imphal, Nishikant, Sapam. Nishikant, you know, the sectors providing livelihood. Now, Mr. Ishantar Sabhapandit of the ICC, Indian Chamber of Commerce, said that they have laid emphasis on agriculture. And a lot of people are asking that, okay, Northeast has people who speak English, Northeast has people who also speak Hindi. So what about the BPO sector? Why is it not taking off? But we are basically an agrarian economy as far as the Northeast is concerned. But we have not been successful in elevating agriculture into an industry, unlike in the heartland. So do you think agriculture holds the key, according to you?
Yes, of course. In Manipur, most of the people are farmers. Of course, agriculture hasn't been affected like the rest of the country. Even during COVID time, it went on as it was going on. But for us to be supplying our food grains outside Manipur is a little far-fetched as of now, because we are not well connected. The day the trains reach Manipur, then the story can be different. So that is a little far-fetched as of now. I think in a couple of years, the rail line should be reaching Imphal, and it can happen. We can, have surplus growth, and we could be supplying to other parts of the country. Till then, nothing like that is going to happen. We are just more of a consumer-based, economy. We just consume. Then nothing from the state really goes out. It's very difficult. It's a one-way traffic. I mean, Manipur is totally landlocked, totally cut off, unlike Assam, which is very well networked.
So, Larsing, Ming, one of the fallout of COVID, one of the impact of COVID was the return of large number of our boys and girls who are working in different parts of the country. They've come back home to all the states. So we call them migrant workers, quote unquote. Now, many of them are not going back at all. Many of them are apprehensive about returning to work. Many of them have lost their jobs. Now, how big is this issue? Is it going to impact our economy further? Is it going to put pressure on the states? What is your general feeling on this as far as this issue is concerned?
Yes, for all
regarding Manipur, yes, we have some boys who are working. The question is towards me or somebody else?
No, question was to Larsing Ming. I'll come back to you on this question. Larsing, please.
Yeah. So, yes, I mean, this is an important situation, but just to apprise you, the other day I spoke to someone at the airport to understand the kind of traffic that is happening in Guwahati airport. So I was told that there's a huge number of people actually flying out of Guwahati then entering Guwahati, and these are largely made up of people who have come back. I mean, people who are working in other parts of the country who came back during COVID, heading back to the cities to rejoin their jobs, as well as students. But again, as you correctly pointed out, there may be still a huge number of people who have lost their jobs, and also some who may not want to travel that far. So that is definitely going to add to the situation. Now, having said that, perhaps the maximum number of people who are actually, in terms of numbers, the maximum number of people who are actually from the Northeast working in the different metros of the country are largely engaged in the service sector, which is hospitality and retail and other things. So yes, in a way, it is high time that maybe the tourism industry here hopefully picks up. I mean, see, the good side of things is that the moment we can cross this pandemic, the moment, things return back to normal, I foresee Northeast becoming a very, very attractive tourism destination for the rest of the country on two accounts. One is the fact that people are now looking at nature and ecotourism in a different light post the pandemic, and people want to go to places that are not too crowded. And number three, for the immediate short-term and medium-term future, people don't want to travel too far away from their comfort zones. So those long-haul flights to Europe and other parts of the world may not be as attractive as they were, say, prior to the pandemic. So this is going to see an upsurge of tourism in the Northeast. The point here is that we in the Northeast have to prepare ourselves for tourism coming back, but make a long-term plan for sustainable tourism. Because the beauty of the Northeast is the untouched nature that we have. So we have to understand that, we have to build a long-term vision around sustaining that rather than destroying it. And tourism is a double-edged sword in that regard.
Right.
So these are things that one has to look at,
Right. Mr. Joshi, you have heard both Mr. Nishikant Sapam as well as Larsing Ming. Now they are talking about the tourism industry basically. But before coming to that, let me take you back to my earlier question on migrant workers. Now, question is, does the states in the northeastern region, do they know exactly how many people had come back, how many people had gone back, how many people have lost their jobs, what are they going to do now? Do you think that is going to have a more pressure on the already crippling economy because of COVID and lack of activity in the last almost 10 months?
See, again, I should say it's again the piecemeal work on the part of the respective governments. When we ask them what is the scenario, real scenario, they tell us in this particular district, this is going to be the scenario like that. So they have not really mapped up in scientifically what is exact portion on the migrant labor. But I should be telling you, there is a good sign people are returning to their original jobs on their merit. People are, they have waited for pretty long because they wanted merit, and we command merit. The people of Northeast, that's a good thing. A lot of people have gone back to Mumbai, to South India and other parts of the country. Yes, good number of have remained in the state because of certain apprehension. I think in next 1-2 months scenario would improve, and they would also be going to respective state. But government must think, why all should be going back? They are the trained, skilled people. We should be having good place to work.
That is the point.
Good work to
That is the point. Ishantar, will you elaborate on that point? Mr. Joshi is making a very valid point. I'm coming to you on the same point, Mr. Larsing Ming. Mr. Joshi is saying that why should we now allow, now that we know who is skilled in what, now that they have come back because of a situation, why can't we use their expertise in our own respective states or in the region where we lack skilled people? So that means if we have not done so, or if we have failed to do so, that means we suffer from a flawed plan or no plan at all.
Right. You're absolutely correct. Mr. Joshi is also absolutely correct in saying so. Because if you remember when we discussed during the COVID, this point has come up, like what we will do with this migrant workers. That time only we have flagged about the skilled people, how we will use it, how to map them, so that most of the people, they can be here after the crisis is over. So now the situation has come, and we have seen that maybe some percentage of people has left the state or the region. But there again, we are still left with few people here, with skilled people. I'll just sort of small example, if you permit me so. There is a brand called Kharkua, which is in a very interior part of Morigaon. There is a very thorough gentleman, a young guy who was in Bombay. He has started up a factory just in the mid of the COVID. He has started a pickle factory, and he's technically equipped, skilled, educated, and now he's in the verge of closing it up. The reason is he's unable to, in spite of the things are opened up, he's unable to send his products to outside the state, because suppose pickle, he has expected a market somewhere in Bombay, the 5 stars, and Delhi, which have initially started maybe a month before the crisis has started. But now he's at the verge of closing because the demand of his products are not there now.
So these are the practical difficulties which people are facing. I'll go for a break, but before that, a question to Mr. Nishikant Sapam. Mr. Nishikant Sapam, the FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, they have come up with a report recently. They are saying that there is a rise in smuggling in the northeastern region because of the economic distress caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, as far as Manipur is concerned, in the last couple of weeks, there have been huge seizures. Only the other day, contraband worth 165 crore rupees, which is a huge staggering amount. Contraband drugs to the tune of rupees 165 crore have been seized. Now, do you see a pattern there? Is it because people are absolutely left with no option and taking undue risk in indulging in illegal practices?
Yeah, even I saw that report, and I was quite surprised. That's a huge amount. And though officially I think the borders are closed, yet it does happen. Jinko karna hota hai, wo karte hain. And so I think the activity hasn't stopped, and maybe
no, that is not the point. Mr. Sapam, my question is, do you think it is because of the economic distress caused by COVID? Such things. Do you think such things are triggered by the economic distress?
So. I don't think so. I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I don't go for that. I'm sure it's been happening, and it's a good catch. Simple.
Okay, it has been happening. He is not linking up the two, the rise in smuggling activities in the Manipur sector. We'll go for a short break, but don't go away. I'll be right back in this debate on how to revive the economy in the Northeast in these times of COVID. Welcome back. Let me go straight to Larsing Ming in Shillong. Larsing, you know, what are the other sectors you think, you are someone who has seen it all. You also is into the sports industry, if I may use the word. You know, and what are the other sectors? Do you think a lot of people are banking rather too much on tourism? As if, you know, tourism is the magic wand that is going to alter the economic profile of the northeastern region, and we are ignoring certain key areas which could otherwise bring us rich dividends. What could be some of those areas in your view?
I think we have to play according to our strengths. And I think, as you've already mentioned, the Northeast has been largely an agrarian economy. And I think that is where our strength lies. So agriculture by itself, I think, has a huge potential to engage and provide livelihoods for the people of the entire northeastern region, especially for one simple fact that large tracts, luckily, relatively large tracts of the northeastern region are still untouched by pesticides and fertilizer driven agriculture. So large tracts are still very much organic, and I think the pathway to the future as far as agriculture is concerned is organic agriculture. This is an area which government of India has already highlighted. I think the Prime Minister has also mentioned this many times earlier in his speeches, and I think the central government is coming up with a lot of plans. But as different states in the Northeast, as stakeholders, both in the private and the government sector, I think we should all play a more concerted focus towards agriculture, and particularly organic agriculture, because that, I think, is going to be the future of what can really provide mass livelihoods, so as to say. So
Right.
this is an area that one should look at, and the beauty about agriculture is that agriculture and tourism can go hand in hand. So
Right.
so that is something that we could look at. We must remember that we are a landmass of about 7.5–8% of the entire country's landmass, but a population of hardly 4%. So our population to land ratio is very healthy as compared to the rest of the country. So if we play our focuses right, if we focus properly in the areas of our strengths, I think the Northeast has more than enough to really provide surplus livelihoods, at least for our people. But the question here, Wasbir, is that you've been talking about post-COVID, all that is fine. But you see, in economics and business, things don't happen overnight. We can't suddenly wake up one morning and say we're going to provide 1 lakh
Yes.
jobs.
Yes.
This is a long-term, enduring process, and it involves a lot of factors. But the most salient of all is peace and tranquility. The day we realize that the days of street agitations, the days of blocking roads, the days of closing down economies is over, the faster we will grow as a region. And we must understand that in order to really provide jobs for our people, in order for the economy to grow in the northeastern region, we need to create an atmosphere
Absolutely.
of
No doubt.
positive growth for investments.
No doubt
So
about
until that is sorted out, until the politics changes from agitation or issue-driven politics of putting the government of the day
Absolutely,
in a corner
Larsing.
to a politics of progress and economics,
Right.
We will not grow as a region, and we'll continue to debate this over and over again. And
I think-
all our people will continue to go to the metros searching for jobs.
Right, very passionately put by Larsing there. We have to get rid of a certain mindset. But Mr. R.S. Joshi, we don't see any state in the northeastern region getting up on some kind of a mission mode to revive the economy in these times of distress. Where is there a combination of the state and the private sector, entrepreneurs and so on? And has anybody talked to you in the last couple of weeks, couple of months as to how to revive the economy? We don't see, at least, it's not at least visible. We don't see a mission mode kind of a campaign, kind of a drive and initiative by any of the state governments in the northeastern region to revive the economy.
Yes, you are very right. We are not in a mission mode. See, we have been taking ad hoc decision as
Yeah.
and when there is a situation so demands, but it is basically ad hoc in nature. See, if you see the working of central government during this pandemic period, lot of reforms have taken place. Some of the ministries, they were not concerned with the day-to-day activities of the people. They were just after reforms, how to make things happen. And see, one good thing has come so far. Industry, trade and business is concerned. They have come out with a performance-linked incentive. You produce more, you get more benefit. So now they are in fast mode. But such things we are lacking in the northeast region. No state government has come out with some fiscal incentive how to address it. They must be credited. They have dealt with the situation of pandemic very nicely, no doubt about it. But so far the economic sectors, other economic sectors are concerned, very less has been done. Now the time is that we must have this PPP, public-private partnership, to start with in the industry. Like we should be having a investment board to start with the state of Assam, followed by other states, to be headed by a private sector person, where both public sector and private sector are the party to it. Investment promotion board, totally see out of clutches of the bureaucratic style we function. We invite investors from outside, we provide, we facilitate everything. See, that body should be apart from, see right now what is happening, it has to happen in democracy. Now state of Assam is virtually in election mode. Yeah, and because they have to take care of the manifesto, what are the pending agendas of there, so they have been going, inaugurating or laying foundation stand, nice thing, no doubt about it. But what about the crucial core sector decision they need to take? So this is very much needed in the state of Assam. And another, see, the gentleman has spoken about the mindset very nicely, the gentleman from Meghalaya. See, we have to give a very positive signals to rest of the part of the country or abroad. Yes, investment is welcome. See, some local happenings that disturb the mind of others. Why should I go to Northeast for investment when things are at par elsewhere in the country? No, we have something extra to offer, and we the people are much more better than the elsewhere else.
Right.
Like this mindset, we must not only economy should open, we should open up our mind also. Yes, we are better, and really we are better. This stay incident, see, spoil everything, the environment, the ambience we need to take care of. And see, we are listening, yes, again some agitations on one ground or another is taking up. I have the sympathy with the cause of the agitators, but the way we are blocking, we are having the bans, etc. This is not good for the investment climate. Private investment we need, and we must welcome it.
Now, this is a very interesting point raised by Mr. R.S. Joshi. He has proposed the setting up of an investment promotion board to be headed by a private sector person, private sector individual, where the government will be a party and work together in pushing ahead with investments outside the bureaucratic setup, because we all are aware of bureaucratic red tape that has been impacting on growth and development in the Northeast as also elsewhere in the country. Mr. Sabhapandit, how long can we go on saying that Northeast is the gateway to Southeast Asia, Northeast is the gateway to Southeast Asia? We all know that. We have heard it for the last 40 years. Right. Now the question is, forget about Southeast Asia, what can we do within our own states? Nobody is on a mission mode. Right. Nobody is thinking out of the box. How much can you depend on Kaziranga? How much can you depend on Meghalaya tourism, and so on and so forth? What are we going to do?
Yeah, look, Kaziranga and Shillong, there are plenty of options for the people in this global scenario to travel. I think given a choice, in this present scenario, people will prefer going to a better place, I must say, because better in a sense, I'm not talking about the beauty of the place or a scenic beauty. I'm talking about the relaxation of mind, the hassles to enter the state. So tourism is something which cannot really develop our northeastern region in the long run.
Tourism cannot develop.
It cannot develop because there are plenty of options which are there in the hand of people. In this, like the way we have.
Are you talking about the restrictions of travel in the Northeast?
Are you
talking about inner line regulations?
Present, yeah. I'm coming to that actually.
Okay. No, my question is, can we just simply talk about Act East and Look East and gateway to Southeast Asia and do nothing?
Yeah.
Is it what we are talking? We know about tourism, but can we think outside tourism? Is there anything in your mind?
Yes,
that's my question.
Yeah, we should really work on food processing industry, which we have initiated, which states, a couple of state government like government of Nagaland has beautifully initiated food processing industry, where they were to a certain extent successful also. In fact, government of Meghalaya has also initiated. Like, it shouldn't happen that when the borders are open, it becomes a dumping market. So if we talk about activist policy being implemented in place and roads are opened up, borders are opened up. So there are many things like one very important thing, as I've said earlier also, the skill development is something which is very important. The MSME sectors, the new first generation entrepreneurs will come up in doing businesses.
Nishikant, Sapam, Nishikant, if you can hear me, if you can hear me, the question is, we are not coming up with any new ideas. That seems to be the main problem. We are not coming up with new ideas. We have been talking about skill development for a long time because the skill development mission is now several years old. Nothing has happened. We don't even have a vocational. We were talking about one point of time of a vocational university in the Northeast. That has not happened. We set up call centers. That didn't click. We set up software parks. We don't know what is going on in these software parks. We had, we had set up industrial estates in and around. That has not happened. Border trade, mostly illegal trade. Legal trade, the quantum of illegal trade is much more than the quantum of legal trade. So, who is going to resolve all these issues?
There is this saying that says the government should not be in the business of doing business, they should be in the business of only governing.
Exactly.
The same goes for politicians in the Northeast. I don't know about, so politicians try to get onto all the businesses. Okay, they should be into only policy making, and like that investment thing coming into private hand. I just heard the fellow panelists. I think that's a great idea. Manipur, nothing is happening, and you're very right. I mean, sometimes I think those kids who don't top in their classes, I mean, they also have a life. So we need vocational universities whereby we can have skilled laborers coming out, and then it is for the government to provide the right opportunity, the right atmosphere for businesses to grow. You have people coming from outside trying to invest something in Manipur, then the politicians or the bureaucrats are going to latch on to them, and it's never going to happen with the common man. So like I said, the government of the day should be only there to govern and not to get into businesses. The politicians also should not get into businesses. I mean, well, they can do their business on their own, but then let business prosper. There must be good level playing field for one and all.
Right. No.
And for Manipur, I'd say we are very badly landlocked. We need the train coming. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen. Look, East policy, look hi hota rahega. If trains don't come in, nothing's going to happen. I'm telling you. If we need a bypass surgery very badly.
Another point I'd like to raise, Larsing Ming. Larsing, basically what is that, economy. When we are talking about the economy, we are only not discussing, there is no synergy between the private sector and the government. There is only lip service. We don't see real synergy happening on the ground. Do you think that is also an obstacle?
I don't totally agree with that. I mean, there is synergies in certain areas. Maybe if I have to speak about Meghalaya, there's been a lot of privatization of certain properties. There is some sort of synergy happening in the recent past in that regard. I can't say that about the entire Northeast because I don't know what is happening in different states. But coming back to your Loki's policy, agreed, this policy and vision has been on for a long time, but it again boils down to connectivity, which has been mentioned. The good thing here is that, as a region, we have to understand that we are actually in a very, very good space as of now. We have to understand the potential that is in front of us for the next decade.
Let me ask you a question, Larsing. Let me ask you a question. Larsing, let me ask you a question. You emphasized on connectivity in the context of Look East. Suppose there is connectivity, how is it going to change things? What is it that we are going to send on these roads? What is it that we are going to export? Do we have enough potential for value addition? Do you have enough means to supply anything on a mass scale?
So precisely, yes, we do. Yes, we do. We have a lot of of peace and tranquility to offer to a population of 1.2 billion people west of the chicken neck, an economy which is going to become the third largest economy in the world by 2030. So we're talking about China, we're talking about America, and then we're talking about India. And we're talking about an economy which is going to be the third biggest in the entire world by 2030. We're talking about the Southeast Asian region, the ASEAN region, being one of the largest purchasing power markets in the world, and the fastest growing area in the next decade to two. The good thing here is that our Guwahati International Airport is been developed with a plan to finish by 2022, 2023. Do we all realize the impact of that? That will actually make Guwahati one of the most centrally located metros in entire Asia. Name me any city which has equidistance to all the big metros of the ASEAN and China, from Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Malaysia, Singapore to Hong Kong. We are about 2 to 3.5 to 4 hours away. And if we look to the rest of the Indian metros, we are 2 to 3 hours away. And we are right in the middle of this entire location. So Guwahati could be approximately 2 to 4 hours away from all the top metros of Asia, which is the future of the world in terms of growth perspective. So that is happening. The international airport is happening. I went to the Hornbill last year. I was pleasantly surprised to see the 4-laning happening from Dimapur to Kohima. The entire landscape has been excavated. I believe there are lots of roadworks happening in Manipur. The moment those roads are made, the moment the international airport comes into existence with flights coming to all these metros, hopefully 2, 3, 4 years down the line, the dynamics of economics can change. But again, the salient feature here is that our politics, our mindset, and our attitudes towards how we want to determine our future has also to change a little bit. We have to understand that we cannot play politics at the cost of economics.
Absolutely.
That is something that we have to understand.
Absolutely.
The moment we understand that, everything else will be taken care of. There is huge opportunity for the region.
Right. Now, Mr. Joshi, you talked about real estate a short while ago. Now, Larsing Ming is saying that we have a lot to offer because peace and tranquility is something that we have in plenty to offer. He's obviously referring to tourism and perhaps people coming and even opening big industries here in a peace and tranquil atmosphere. Of course, the security situation is much better in the Northeast today. But my question is, even during a puja holidays, you don't find hotel rooms in Shillong. If you have a major event in Guwahati, you don't find hotel rooms are not enough. Now, should we not prepare to take advantage of connectivity? Now, therefore my question stands. What are we going to do when the roads are in place, the railway is in place? What are we going to do? Are we expecting people to come in hordes? If they come, are we prepared to host them? Can we accommodate them? And why should they come? What are we doing to promote our places? Our national media is not bothered about the Northeastern region. They have a 30-second coverage of the Northeastern region when there is a violence. Nobody talks about anything what is happening in the Northeastern region. I'm talking about the national media, so-called national media, and therefore I don't call national media these days, I call them metropolitan press. Now, my larger question to you, Joshi, what are we preparing ourselves to take advantage of this connectivity that we may have sooner than later?
If you permit me, I just want to make a short comment. See, can't we think declaring the esteemed guests coming out of the tourists as declare them the state guest, people's guest? Just give a thought to that idea. See, it's duty of the people of the region, not only the government.
Yeah.
Then the tea garden bungalows could be offered to tourists. Then the other places could be offered, and let us take entire Northeast in totality. See, something Assam can offer, something Meghalaya can offer, something other states of the Northeast can offer. So you just think of, why this privilege should be given to a few privileged one only, declaring them state guests. We can declare them state guests as well as people's guests. Wherever they go, they are at liberty to move around. Another thing I noticed in Bangkok, when I visited Bangkok, then there was some civil disobedience was going on against the government. But we being the tourists, they didn't touch us, they respected us, they provided us all the kind of amenities. So that kind of mindset, they are honored guests of ours, not only the
Absolutely.
so that kind of things should work, and see, we need to work in tandem. And entire Northeast should work in tandem. There are some places where the rooms are available in plenty. There are some other places. See, we can make it in such a way that we adjust with each other for the benefit of everyone. Yeah. I think
Right.
my co-panelist can just say something on this, declaring the honored guest as state guest or people's guest. Tourist.
State guest or people's guest. Final comments from you, Ishantar Sabhapandit. Northeast should be taken in totality. We should have a common, perhaps, policy to welcome and boost tourism, which is our mainstay.
Yeah, I think for tourism, I think it's make good sense that we sell Northeast as a package. Northeast can be a brand put together, because we have got ample of things to offer in Northeast in totality. Again, just a small thing that when we are talking about activist policies, and if the connectivity is opened, if the things are opened up, then I think we should seriously, now it's high time that we think that what we will produce and what we will sell to those Southeast Asian countries. Because connectivity and the vehicles coming from Southeast Asia to India through Northeastern states won't give any revenue, or won't suffice the actual demand of this Southeast Asian connectivity actually. So we need to be ready enough to have...
Absolutely. We need to be ready enough.
Yeah.
That is the important point which Ishantar Sabhapandit is making. Final comments from you, Nishikant. Do we need to prepare ourselves to take advantage of activist policy as and when the roads and railways are in place? What should we do? Final comments from you, Nishikant.
Yes, absolutely. Northeast should be a package. Northeast itself is like a mini India with so much of diversity and so many different tribes, so many different ethnicity, and we got to capitalize on it, develop on it, on our cultures. And yes, first of all, of course, that route and that, between the Northeast only, there must be good connectivity.
Yeah.
And it has to be a package wherein people stop, where even if the people look his policy, people travel through Southeast Asia, people stop and want to explore the Northeast genuinely, and there must be great connectivity between the states of the Northeastern states. And that's how I think we have to be a package.
Absolutely.
We have to be a package that
Right.
people can't ignore.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Okay. Last word to you, Larsing, Ming. Where have the governments in the Northeast succeeded, and where have the governments in the Northeast failed in the scheme of things? Larsing.
That's a very, very difficult question, to kind of give a verdict for all governments of the Northeast. But I think coming back to the point of economics and economic regeneration. One thing we must understand is take the example of Thailand. When we look at Thailand, as a country that is really, really booming with tourism. But when we actually look closer and look at the actual economics of the country, we'll realize that agriculture is a far bigger contributor to the country's GDP than tourism. And there lies the key as far as the Northeast is concerned. Let us build on our agriculture. Let's build on organic agriculture. Tourism will come automatically. The beauty about tourism is that if you will see, as of currently, Airbnb has just come up with an IPO, and they've got a valuation of $100 billion. And we're talking about this in the middle of a pandemic. The future of tourism lies in small-scale infrastructure, 4-5 bedroom guest houses, 2-3 bedroom village stays, homestays. That is the future of tourism, and that's where Northeast sits perfectly. We just need to build a very, very strong vision plan towards sustaining the environment, towards sustaining the already beautiful nature that we have, because the nature that we have is worth quantums of billions of dollars which no one can afford. And to protect that, will be protecting the economic future of the Northeast. And if we get this vision right, everything else will fall into place, considering the dynamics of what I've mentioned earlier.
Absolutely.
India coming in as a big country. We are going to be a very, very rich, strong country in terms of GDP, and so is the entire ASEAN. We just need to brace ourselves for the future.
Need to brace ourselves for the future. Tourism and agriculture holds the key as far as reviving the northeastern economy is concerned, and both complement and supplement each other. That is the more or less common theme that emerged from this discussion today. But for that, we have to have a vision plan, as Larsing Ming has suggested, and as Mr. R.S. Joshi has suggested, government should think of setting up an investment promotion board headed by someone outside the government, so that we can push ahead things on a mission mode and ready ourselves to take advantage of the connectivity as far as roads and railways are concerned as part of the Act's policy. It's not too late, but we cannot just keep thinking. Things have to come from the drawing board to the ground. That is the challenge. I thank all my panelists for participating in the program and the viewers for watching the show. Good night and goodbye.